Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Faris Rahman, and this is a video recording for the assignment of object-oriented and design. So today's date is 26th April, and the time is 3:39 p.m. right now. This is my report. This is the cover page for the report. This is the statement of completion with the following requirements and the status designed. This is the design overview, stating the overall architecture, CRC analysis, and the key architectural designs decisions. And this is the CRC analysis with I have around 20 CRC cards with clearly stating the responsibility and the collaborators for each classes. Now jumping on to the design of the class diagrams. As you can see, at the top is the game app class, which owns the game save manager and the help menu classes. Under the game app class, there's a game abstract class which has which follows the template method. So a lineup game can follow the template method through the game, which owns the game app template, and following the lineup game template, which is again an abstract class. The three type of sub games, which is lineup basic, lineup classic, and lineup spin, can be used. The game has two interfaces, basically savable and undoable. uh, and on the right hand side, we have a player abstract class, which has a human player and a computer player. So human player just checks for a move and interacts with the system. And the computer player checks for a winning move and plays their move. At the bottom, we have the disk class, which has apply effect. Basically, also an abstract class. And there are four sub types of disk, which is ordinary disk, anvil disks, bomb disk, and wild disk, which just apply their effects through the disk apply effect method. Now moving on to the object diagram. So the first object diagram is the undo state in the lineup classic. As you can see, the current player is P2 because player one, which is Lee Faris, applied for the undo, and that's when happened was the last move was move three, and which involved putting an anvil disk in column four, and that has been removed from the stack and added to the redo stack. And the board has been restored to how it was before that move, which is stored in move three. Now that it's player two's turn, object diagram two, lineup spin, which after the rotation. So as stated in the requirements for the assignment, the grid changes by 90 degrees after a fifth turn of each player. So that is around 10th turn, around 10th turn, which means the 90-degree the grid changes. So as you can see, usually it's 6 rows and 7 columns, but now the grid is 6 columns and 7 rows. And when that happened, the four discs were in a row, and thus a player wins. That's why you can see the game over is true, and player two has won. And now for the sequence diagram one, which is the human player makes a move, as you can see here. So the actor plays a move for the game, and the game makes a human player move, and then the human player checks with the board whether it's a valid move. Then it returns yes, true, and the human player returns the move to the game, and then the game applies that move to the board. Then it returns, and then the game pushes the move to the move history, and then get returns, and the game checks with the board if that the move was a winning move, and the game returns false. Thus, the game continues, and the game switches the player, and the turn is complete by the player one or the human. And for the sequence diagram two, the player performs undo. So the player or the actor asks for an undo to the game. The game undoes for the history move and returns the move. The game asks for a snapshot from the move and gets a grid snapshot just before the move was done. And then the game restores the state of the board before the move to the board, and the board returns. And thus, this as it did a undo. So a game switches the player and it returns, and the sequence is done. And for the design principles, I followed four design principles, which were the template method pattern, command pattern, strategy pattern, open close principle. So template method pattern is nothing, but it defines an algorithm in a parent class. So for example, the game.play method defines the game loop. Subclasses like lineup spin and lineup classic or any other just add their steps. And for the command pattern, for the principle two, it's just it has an actions, shows an actions as an object. When a player makes a move object is created. The move object stores the column chosen, that is used and state of the grid before the move. History class keeps track of these move object. It has redo stats classes used, move history, and these are the classes that are used in this command pattern. This helps keep the undo redo system from the game logic. And for the principle three, which is the strategy pattern, it is used to define different algorithms. For example, each algorithm in its class can have a variety of subclasses. For example, the player has human player and the computer player. So the game doesn't really know which is which, but this helps in switching the player after every each move. So we can add a new player all the time without changing any existing code. And open for the close principle, which is basically it means that you can add an extension but not change the existing ones. For example, a new type of disk can be added, but changing a current disk is not that recommended. So an extension of an additional disk is easy to add without changing any existing code. So that's what makes the framework very useful, usable. Thank you.